As you can see linked up on Mark13News.com for September 22nd, 2024, world leaders adopt pivotal UN pact, meaning the so-called Pact for the Future, which Russia attempted to prevent from being adopted on the grounds that it supposedly represented Western interests, as you can see in an article in The Guardian, which was also published on September 22nd. The Russian Federation is the current king of the North, according to the Daniel 11 hypothesis on biblicalresearchlabs.com, and the United Nations is the one who sends a raiser of taxes in Daniel 11:20, with the raiser of taxes itself being the Paris Climate Agreement, which was brought about by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the one who sends a raiser of taxes in Daniel 11:20 is the same thing as the great horn of the he-goat in Daniel chapter 8 verse 8, with the he-goat being symbolic of the shadow government of the Kenites, which is split into two warring factions, which is what nation shall rise against nation means in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, meaning the Kenite nation rising up against itself through multipolar as opposed to unipolar globalism, as the robbers of thy people, as the Kenites are called in Daniel 11:14, continue to exalt themselves to establish the vision, meaning the vision of a global government, but they shall fall, and that word translated as fall means in this case to fail, because there will be no new world order as it's called until the great horn of the he-goat, which again is the United Nations, gets broken, which is the same word translated as destroyed in Daniel 11:20, because that's when the four notable ones of Daniel chapter 8 verse 8 emerge at the woe of the fifth trumpet, which are the four beasts of Daniel chapter 7 that make up the one world political system of Revelation 13, that will have 7 heads, meaning the 7 continents of the planet Earth, and 10 horns, meaning 10 fallen angel kings, which are part of Daniel's exclusively supernatural fourth beast. And as you can see in Revelation 17, these 10 fallen angel kings will reign 1 hour, meaning for the entirety of the 5-month-long hour of temptation, with the beast. And in Revelation 17, the beast means Satan in general, before, during, and after he appears as the Antichrist in Jerusalem. Satan and his angels, including those 10 fallen angel kings, get cast to earth at the woe of the fifth trumpet, which is when the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8 becomes the leopard of Daniel chapter 7, which is symbolic of the Kenites and their 4 hidden dynasties, providing the infrastructure of the one world system, which will receive a deadly wound, after which Satan will appear as the Antichrist at the woe of the sixth trumpet, 2.5 months after the woe of the fifth trumpet, which is when the Ezekiel 38 confederacy becomes the bear of Daniel chapter 7, headed by Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, meaning most likely Moscow and Tobolsk. The lion of Daniel chapter 7, which also doesn't come into being until the woe of the fifth trumpet at the beginning of the 5-month-long hour of temptation, is symbolic of the Christian nations up until Satan appears as the Antichrist at the woe of the sixth trumpet, because that's when most Christians will begin worshiping Satan instead of Christ, which is what Antichrist means. The true Christ won't return until 2.5 months later at the woe of the seventh trumpet, or 70 evenings, which are what the 70 years in captivity to the Babylon of old were a type of.